Welcome to another edition of Diaspora News in Brief. This week, we speak to the directors of a dynamic youth-focused company who tell us how they empower youngsters to live a positive lifestyle.
We want to get young people to believe in themselves and think that they can actually go and do something else.
We also speak to self-employed HR and recruitment founder who gives an insight on how she manages her household and her business.
It is not easy. As a mum, you see the dishes need cleaning.
And finally, we catch up with a renowned specialist who tells us the importance of building a brand.
There's a mechanism and a formula for success, just like every other business.
With all the negative messages and news coverage of young people in Britain, it's refreshing to learn of youngsters doing positive things. We caught up with Youth Source directors Calvin Solomon and Makeda McMillan, who tell us how satisfying it is to positively change someone's life.
It gets a bit emotional for me because they believe that if I believe in them, I think they're good. They're just taking something from it. They're changing as a person. One thing that I noticed, and one thing that I noticed when I was their age or even now, if I know that I'm going to get a qualification, I'm thinking, oh, what do I have to do to get this qualification? But if you don't notice that you're going to get it, it's a bonus. So at the end of it, they receive certificates that can go towards their CVs and towards interviews. And it's a very bespoke and unique qualification. It's only specific towards the arts. So if you go into a graphics company, a web design company, illustration company, and you say you've got a bronze arts awards or you've got a silver arts awards, then that's something you have on top of a person who might be going to university, or just up on top of the university person that you're going to. Like, is
it?
Yeah.
Wow. So this is something recognized by the Arts Council?
Yeah, so it's recognized by the Arts Council, it's recognized by arts organizations. It's really unique. An example, we had a girl called Candice, and the first time she came in, she couldn't talk, like she was silent. She had the headphones in, couldn't really hear her.
She couldn't talk, or she didn't want to talk?
She didn't want to talk, she was too shy, so you couldn't hear her. By the end of the project, she was going to random people, ask them if they want to take part. She loved it.
Yeah. Selling, that's sales.
Yeah, sales.
So how does that make you feel? I mean, as somebody who actually was instrumental in that change with her.
Well, yeah, that's the type of thing that we aim to do. So it's like a reward for us because we've seen her change and we know that we've been a part of that. That's the reason why we're doing what we're doing, because we want to get young people to believe in themselves and think that they can actually go and do something else, and they've got the confidence to go and do it. Because I suffered with confidence issues myself when I was training in school, and when I met Calvin, I literally used to look down on the floor when I was doing my presentations.
Is it?
I used to mutter, I used to look down, I wouldn't talk, I was really shy. But like, because from doing projects and having loads of experience, my confidence has grown. I'm still trying to build it, but like, that's what I want to give to other people.
Now, what amazes me about you, and because I can feel that energy coming from you, where did you get your inspiration from? Is it a member of your family, somebody outside, Richard Branson, one of these guys?
So I don't really look up to celebrities or people in power. My inspiration comes from my family.
So you're not inspired by Dizzy Rascal then?
No, I'm not. But I do rate what he's done, and where he's come from. I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate a lot of people. But my inspiration is my mum and my sister and my nephew. Richard Branson is not getting me out of bed when I really want to sleep. It's my mum working 2 jobs and my sister doing everything that she's doing, and my nephew that I'm thinking of his future and trying to do it for them and myself.
I get the feeling that there's someone else in your life that is quite important that could at some point impact on your ability to continue providing good work for Youth Source.
Yes, well, in school, I went and did a diploma with a company called VIII. Then I got pregnant with my son, so I took the time out, so I left, and Calvin went in my position and worked for Small Green Shoots.
Was that Immaculate Conception, or was Calvin involved somehow?
No, Calvin.
All right, okay.
Calvin is in my partner.
Okay, good, all right.
Yeah, my partner, that obviously me and Calvin are good friends. He knows that I was with him for 5-6 years, so since school, since I was 13. So obviously I got pregnant. I was a bit worried because I thought it might affect my career. So I took the time out, but I've always been like that type of person that like while I was pregnant, I was working for the council while working for Small Green Shoots. And I always knew that I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mum. I wanted to do something because I was passionate. And like I'm very ambitious as well, and Calvin knew that. So after I had my son, like a few months, I think it was a few months after, Calvin approached me and said, well, I want to start a business. I want to call it youth sauce. I was like, sauce, ketchup sauce, a bit cheesy, but comes a bit cheesy.
I could imagine the response.
And we've been quite successful because this business is relatively new. We started in March, I think it was. And yeah, so far we've had about 4 or 5 projects.
Okay. So what would you suggest to other young ladies who find themselves in a similar situation like yourself?
Just don't give up. It's not the end of the world, being a young mum. You can still achieve and do things that you want to do. My mum, I get a lot of my ambition from my mum. So yeah, just don't give up and just keep trying and just keep striving for what you want to do, because it's possible, regardless of whether you've got a child, regardless of any circumstances you're in. You just have to stick at it and then it'll be worth it.
Being a mother isn't easy, and neither is running a business. Self-employed HR and recruitment founder Theresa tells us how she manages her household and business.
It is not easy. You have to manage that time, because as a mom, you see the dishes need cleaning and the stove needs to clean and you need to do the laundry or something. But what I try to do is, before the kids are up, I try to like read my emails. I get them out the door, and it takes a lot of discipline to do some work between that 4 hours up to lunchtime or 5 hours, and then take a break. So I think in terms of, if I was at work, I'd be taking a break at 1 o'clock. So I'd take a break at 1 o'clock and quickly do some tidying, or get some lunch done, and then get back in. Once they come from school, I have to stop, and then once they've had dinner and we've quiet, then I can get back into it again. But equally, sometimes I'd have to be out for the day networking. So it means when I come home and they're at bed at night, I have to put in that extra 3 hours of work on the computer.
I understand. So tell me more about your business.
Well, I founded the business back in June of 2013, so that's last year, following a redundancy. And I studied HR at university and subsequently worked in an employment law firm. And it was my passion. I like working with people and I like managing people. I like studying the behavior of people in organizations and how we can use our employees to the best advantage. I like the fact of knowing your employee is your greatest asset and how do you harness that. So it was natural that I went into HR and decided to set up my own consultancy.
What qualities and what sort of skills do you need to run a business and be self-employed?
I would say the first one is you need a lot of determination, because it's the one thing that will get you going when you don't have a client to pay the bill. It's a different ball game when you're working for someone. The 30th or whatever day payday is, there will be money in your account. When you're self-employed, there's no guarantee of that. So you have to be very motivated and very determined. It's not as easy as you just set up a business. Some people are lucky and they open a business and they get a flow of clients coming in, and some are not. So you have to be motivated, very determined, and you have to be willing to put in the hours.
Okay. And how would you inspire women, men, young entrepreneurs and people that want to be self-employed to run a business? Like, what are like the key points to running your own business?
I would say to them to don't think that they can start on a shoestring budget. Yes, it happens and it works for some, but first of all, have at least some sort of capital saved up. Have a business plan, and business plans change. Nothing's set in stone. So of course you have to change it, but you must have a plan or you will plan to fail. Realize that this is it. Don't think of a plan B, because if you're thinking, well, if this fails, there's a plan B, I think you're putting yourself up for failure. So realize that this is your dream, this is your goal. There's no plan B. Have the determination to make it happen.
Many businesses have no idea that branding plays a key part in staying on top of their competitors. We caught up with brand specialist Kubi Springer, who shares how she manages leading celebrities from singers to professional footballers.
The industry, first of all, it's the business of sports, the business of music, the business of fashion. And I always say the business of first, because I think when people see the glitz and the glam, you know, they take Diddy as an example, who's one of my bosses from the early part of my career. They take somebody like Diddy and they think, well, you know, it's all glitz and it's glam, but actually there's a real business function that's happening behind it. And so the business is like any other business. You know, there are profit margins, there are budgets that need to be adhered to, there's talent within the business, and there's a mechanism and a formula for success, just like every other business. The only difference with the type of branding that I do, entertainment and fashion, is that it's, you know, sprinkled with glitter on top of the functionality of it. But it's like every other business. Every time that I work with a new business and they're able to really push their brand forward, they're able to really elevate the brand, that's a highlight for me, because it means that all of the knowledge and experience that I have is working on somebody that doesn't have the big budgets. I say to people all the time, you can work for Nike. I've worked for Nike. Of course you can market Nike. It's Nike. You know, if you can't market Nike, you need to sit down, right? But can you take that same principle and help somebody who's just started get their dream off the ground and become a commercial reality? That's actually more of a challenge, because Nike's Nike. Nike has a big machine.
That's right. How is it that you maneuver your way through all the challenges of making your brand stand out?
It's a really interesting question. I made a decision when I was a lot younger, when I first started in the industry, and this is advice that I give to young women. I made a decision that I wasn't going to date anybody in my industry. That was the first thing. Most of the women who were starting with me, junior account level at Blue Flame, they didn't survive. And that's because they got caught up by the hype of the industry, rather than seeing it that you're there to do a job, you're there to deliver. So that's the first bit of advice. The second thing that I did all the way through my career is I owned my femininity. You know, I say to women all the time, you want to get a deal done with a man, pair of 4-inch heels and a pencil skirt and some knowledge, you're good. You're good. You're good. But the knowledge has to be there. You can't have the 4-inch heels and the skirt and no knowledge. There will be no deal. But ultimately, own your femininity. You know, I'm a woman. I love being a woman. I bring that caring and nurturing side to everything that I do. But at the same time, don't play with a smile.
Yeah, fabulous. Now, all right, here's something else now we need to consider. Do you consider yourself a professional that is black, or a black person as a professional?
I think first and foremost, I'm a black woman. You know, there's no getting away from it. My name is Kubi. It's an African name. You look at me, I'm a dark-skinned black woman. Like, why would I even pretend? I love being black. So for me, the question of am I a black professional or a professional is black is not a question. You know, I can't question, am I black? I'm black, full stop. It's like saying, is the sky blue? You don't question, is the sky blue? The sky is blue. So my question is, how good a professional am I? Irrespective of my colour, because the colour's a given. How good of a professional am I? And I think when I deal with, you know, people who are in business, I say to them, put race aside. Like, they can see you're black. You don't need to overstate it. Just be a professional and be excellent at what you do. Be number one. That's all I care about. When you hear the name Kubi Springer, can she deliver? Great. Then hire her.
Kubi Springer, the mother.
Yes, now you're going to get me really talking.
How is that working for you?
It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's the toughest job I've ever had. I love it. I love being a mum. I'm glad I waited, David, until I was in my 30-somethings. And I didn't do it earlier. I actually broke a rule that I made when I was young, because I ended up dating somebody who does work in the industry. Long hours together. It happens sometimes, you know. Okay. But, you know, we're very much in love, and we have a little girl together. And it's tough, but it's great. And when I say it's great, I work for myself, so I own my own time, which means that Fridays is her day, as an example. I don't tend to do meetings on a Friday. And I tend to just dedicate that day to her. And what it's done is it's made me really, really focused. Really focused. Like, if I thought I was focused before, jeez. Now I will only take a meeting if it's really going to make sense, because my time literally is money. For me, I have a lifestyle that I want her to have. Private school is a given. Those things cost. And so I really am extremely focused and seeing the world more global, because I don't want to be based here with her. I want to grow her up somewhere else.
Okay, wonderful. So what's on the cards now? What's the project that Kubi Springer is on at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the project I'd like to tell your viewers about is a brand new e-course that I'm doing called I Am My Brand. And I Am My Brand is for budding entrepreneurs. It's for people who have an idea, have a business, maybe they've just started it, but they're not quite sure how to take it to the next level. And ultimately, every major brand has a face of the brand, and when you're an entrepreneur like yourself, you are the face of CaribDirect. So it's like, how do you position your brand? How do you look at yourself like a Coca-Cola or a Nike? And literally every single week is an 8-week course, which I'm super excited about. And every week I teach from the perspective of a big brand. So week 1 is Oprah, and I'm actually standing in front of you, camera, video, teaching, and breaking down Oprah. You know, how was Oprah managed over 3 decades to be the brand that she is? And one of the key things with Oprah, and I was doing some research on it just yesterday, is people think that you create empires overnight. You cannot do success. No matter how much you try, you cannot do success. It's a process. And so when I'm looking at Oprah's strategic brand building, I break down that process and how you can use it for your own business.
Right.
So that's my big project at the moment.
That is outstanding.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Any parting words for women who want to follow in your footsteps? Because you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of insight, you've got a lot of contacts. What would you tell young women who want to get into your industry?
I would say to them, be true to yourself. Be true to your dream. Be true to your passion. Work your posterior off. Be strategic and make it happen.
This has been another edition of CaribDirect Diaspora News in Brief. Join us next time for more news, commentaries, and exciting interviews to keep you informed.